All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 30-minute weekly webinar. This is Matt Sykes, a systems engineer here at Verify, and I'll be your host for today's session. Joining me today is my good friend and fellow SE, Dre Devot. How's it going today, Dre?
Going well, Matt. Going well. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. All right, for everyone, for today's session, Dre is going to show us how you can monitor call manager registered and unregistered phones with Verify's change management module. Please note that these webinars are always recorded and posted within 24 hours, so you can review them at any time. Check out the webinars page at verify.com for all of our past and upcoming sessions. You can find all these videos on our YouTube channel if that is easier for you as well. Now, okay, so we're gonna start off with a quick overview of Verify and what we do. Then we'll jump into a live demo where Dre can showcase the call manager phone registrations for us. We'll pause for Q&A. During the demo, if any questions or concerns may arise, make sure you go ahead and ask them in the chat. And after the Q&A, we will award one lucky attendee with a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around and see if you have won. All right, a quick overview of Verify. Verify is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco Call Manager, Contact Center Express, Cube iOS, WebEx calling, Zoom phone, and MS Teams collaboration. Deployable either on-prem or as a hosted cloud solution, we provide industry-leading call reporting and analytics, as well as customizable dashboard and widgets. CUCM management modules like remote phone control, change management, and dial plan management are also available. If you have any questions on any of these other features, please feel free to go ahead and contact us at support@verify.com or reach out to your account manager to have discussions on further offerings. One more thing before we kick this off. For an additional fee, Verify offers an enhanced consulting service to our customers. Verify's SE team engages with you on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, report building, dashboard configurations, and system monitoring assistance. This is a service that provides you with a dedicated Verify SE to do all the heavy lifting, giving you a stress-free, hands-off experience. For more information, please contact us or your account manager, and we'd be glad to speak with you more in depth about pricing and terms of service for our enhanced consulting services or ECS. All right, let's go into the wild. I'm going to pass things off to Dre here now, so please remember to type any questions into the chat, and we'll address them at the end of this presentation.
All right. Once again, thanks, Matt. Like Matt was saying, we're just gonna kind of go over a couple ways of checking out your, phone registrations and call manager and seeing which ones are registered, not registered, and then doing some comparing with those and seeing if some went unregistered and how many and things like that. So we've got a couple different modules that we're going to be working through today, and they're all going to be inside of our change management module here. So we'll go up here to our change management module, which has snapshot, compare, log analysis, and as built. If you are not seeing this on your current Verify system, probably means you're not licensed for it. But it's as easy as just reaching out to your Verify account manager and getting a little trial for it and getting that rolling for you. So it's a pretty useful tool, and kind of what we're going to be looking at today is going to be all within that change management module. All right, so the first thing we're looking at here, to kind of have some data to compare, we need to have snapshots. So as you can see here, we looks like we're taking a snapshot every day, keeping them for about 7 days here. So before we're able to look at these, we would need to create a new snapshot. It's as easy. I'm not going to do it because that can take a long time, especially if you have a large environment. But all you would do is create new snapshot here, top right. And then you would give it a snapshot name if you'd want. And then you want to make sure that you have this checked. That's going to be important because this is going to show you device information, the phone device information. So you want to make sure you have that checked. Just be aware it does make these run a little longer when you have this checked because we're diving deep and getting that information from the phones. So once you have some snapshots or have a snapshot, you'd probably want to schedule a snapshot too. It's pretty easy just by going into the schedule snapshot function here, giving it a second to load, creating a schedule, picking your cluster, make sure to enable it, including this again, and then setting your frequency. So if you want to do it every day, twice a day, whatever you want, you can we can set that up. So So each one of these is one. So if you wanted to do it twice a day, you'd set one up for 12 a.m. And then if you want to do another one at like 5 p.m., then you could just create another snapshot. But that's how we get to have all of these snapshots that we're looking at. Okay, we're going to come back to the snapshots here in a minute, but we're going to show you a way to kind of take a look at all your phone registrations. So if you go into the as built report section here, we're going to run a report. It's going to be an IP phone registration report. So how we're going to do this is we're going to create and run a new report now. We can run an existing report, but we'd have to create that report. But for now, we're just going to run a new one. And I'll show you how to kind of create a create one too, where you could just select it and then go. So we can call this webinar registration or something like that, whatever you want to call it. And then there is a lot of CUCM options here. So we want to filter these out by typing in reg or registration. And then you're going to see this one called IP phone registration. And that's the one we want to take a look at. And then down here, you can select your output if you want to do PDF or Excel here. But data source is going to be important. So if you don't have a snapshot, you can run it against real time, and that's going to pull directly from this point forward. So if you do that, just take note that this could take a long time depending on how large your environment is. So because we have snapshots, we're going to just use it off a snapshot. We know that it's already there. It's gonna run instantaneously because we're running it off something we already have. And then the data visibility down here, you got cluster wide. So we're looking at everything. We also have subsets too. And subsets we can create and kind of filter out some things if you're just looking at a certain device pool or hard phones only or a selection of directory numbers, things like that. And I can kind of show you a quick way of looking at those subsets. I believe I did a whole webinar on subsets as well. So, but for now, we're just going to look at cluster wide. Let's go ahead and run this report. It was pretty quick because we had it in there. And if we scroll in here, scroll down, you're going to get some information on these phones. You're going to see how many are registered, how many are unregistered, how many are known, which server they're registered to, and then the phones below. As you can see, all the information. If we scroll down, I think the registered phones are at the bottom. Here we go. And you can see time, date, these were registered, MAC address, phone name, all the good info that you would need to take a look. So yeah, we don't have a lot of hard phones, but your list could be a lot larger than this as well. But a really nice way of checking out those registered and unregistered phones real quickly. And then if you run this on Excel, you could probably, if you're a spreadsheet master, you could probably filter those out and be able to just kind of find those registered phones a little quicker. So let's take a look real quick at creating this report instead of having kind of running a new one every time. If you just go up here to edit as built report, you'll see we have a bunch in here already. But if you just go to top right, create report, it's really easy. It's the same thing. Let's call it Dre for now. Same thing. We're going to filter out IP phone registration. Boom. You can name this, obviously whatever you want. And then we got IP phone registration. So then that would be saved. So when you go back to the as built section, like if I click run existing, we can pick phone registration there. So makes it easier just to find and do that and then run that. So what else can we do from here? We can also run this as a scheduled report. So we can go into and run a schedule of, let's say, a weekly, daily, whatever kind of report you want by selecting your cluster here, which report. So you'd have to have one of those saved reports. So like phone registration, selecting your cluster. And that is, gotta love that. Excuse me, guys, sorry. All right. So database visibility, once again, we got cluster-wide, whole system, or subsets, and we would select one of those subsets. And then the same thing here is the output. PDF, CSV, and delivering as a single file. And this is if you had like multiple as-built reports inside one. So you can have like multiple reports within one report creation here. So just take that, keep that in mind here. And then you would just set up your schedule and your delivery. Easy peasy. So let's take a look at, we were talking about those subsets a second ago and how you can kind of filter these out a little bit. If you go to gear icon top right, it's the second one under system. We go to CUCM subsets. We should have a couple in here now, but it's pretty easy to figure out. But if you go to add here to the right, we can create a new one. You give it a name and description, whatever, you know, uh, if it kind of matches anything you want to do in here. But let's say we were wanting to look at just our hard phones, right? We could go down to device names. We could just do starts with like SEP, add, boom. So now this subset is only going to look at all phones that have SEP. So we do have other options as well if you wanted to look at a certain device pool, location, some certain models as well, partitions, and device descriptions and directory numbers. So you can kind of filter it down if you need to be a little more specific in instead of looking at a cluster wide report for those phone registrations. All right. Before I move on, was there any questions, Matt, so far through this first kind of section of it?
None that have been presented to me just yet.
Okay, great. Just because we're going to move on just to a little bit of a different section, so I wanted to see if anybody had any questions. All right, perfect. All right, we're going to go back to that change management module up here. And let's say we got our snapshots. It'd be nice if my other computer would not yell at me right now during this. But anyway, all right. So we've got some snapshots. We've got some scheduled snapshots. How do we go in and actually compare what happened a couple days ago and what happened today, and looking at which IP phones went unregistered and things of that nature? So we can go to our compare tool, and our compare tool not only does IP phone registrations, it does everything. Your snapshot takes a snapshot of your call manager settings, everything that's kind of in call manager. We can look at. We can't manipulate any of that. So anything we can't change anything under call manager. It is just to take a look if things have been changed. So to create just a single change report, we go to that compare tool here, and then we'll have some options. So our data sources. So we want to compare, let's say, today's snapshot that happened this morning with either our real time, which will take a little longer because we are pulling that data instead of grabbing it from a file that we already created, or we can go back and say, oh, what has changed? Let's look at phones that have changed registration status wise from the 6th to the 13th. So we're going to have to create a comparison definition. I already have one called Dre's registered phones, but I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and generate that. And because we already have those snapshot, things go a lot quicker. And if we scroll in here, not a lot of changes here, but you can see one change. This phone went registered on the 6th, and then it went unregistered this morning. So it would show you a lot more information when you have a couple more phones. I did have a couple more phones earlier, and I don't. But
Hey, wait a second. That's my phone.
You're not working over there, Matt, huh?
I'm not using that device, no.
So that's funny, but yeah, you'll see a longer list if things are being moved, even phones added, removed, and if they've changed, things like that. So if we go back here into that compare tool, you'll see these edit comparison definitions. We want to go up here and we want to create let's almost like a report, but we can just go create a definition, give it a name again. We'll just call it Dre's registered phones, or whatever you want to call system-wide phones. And you go in here again, you need to just filter this out with registration. So now you have your IP phone registration, boom. And then when you go back to the actual compare tool, you are just comparing Dre's registered phones or Dre's registered phone, whatever you want to call it there. If you didn't have this, let's say you didn't have a comparison definition, if you did all supported data, it would show you all the changes within there. Don't want to go too deep into that because there's a lot of settings that could be changed. And today we're kind of just focusing more on the registration statuses and if they're changing. So we now have learned how to learn to do a quick as-built report on how to create just a PDF or a Excel file of showing you just kind of where your phones are at currently, and then we also showed you how to compare to run a snapshot, run a change report to see if there's anything that has been changed within a certain time period having those snapshots. One other thing we can do is actually schedule a comparison. So if you wanted to look at like a daily comparison report of those IP phones, we would pick our cluster, we would pick our definition here, and then we do have some options down here. We can look at our before data. So we could say, latest or least recent snapshot, select the ages, and then we can actually look at the most recent snapshot as well. Set up a schedule, however you want to see them, get it delivered any or start time. So you could do it once a month, once a day, whatever you feel like you guys need, and then your delivery. Now, I love this here is delivery report only if changes were found. So if this is a daily report and no phones made any changes, it won't send you anything because you don't probably need to see if there's nothing done. You want to see if something was changed. So that's a nice box that we added here that we can say, hey, only deliver this if something was changed in that report. Oh, righty. Let's see, what else was on my list? I think this is a short one today.
May I interject?
No. Yes, absolutely.
No, what you were just showcasing was pretty awesome as far as that comparison option. But I do want to make mention that scheduling those comparisons, and I've done this for a few clients out in the field as well, you can certainly have more than one running. So, as an example, if you wanted to kind of, I have a couple systems out there where I'm actually running an hourly comparison strictly on those IP phone registrations because they are going to be referencing back to the early morning snapshot that that previously it ran. So we can kind of run those in automated. But like you may mention, that toggle will serve as kind of almost as a little bit of an alert, so that if a report does show up on the hourly, does continually as the day is progressing, that newer adds and moves and changes off of that snapshot for the IP phone registrations have been applied to the call manager. So just want to make mention that you can certainly have more than one of these running throughout the day.
Yes, absolutely. And same with your just in general your snapshots too. You can have schedule snapshots that run, morning to midday and midday to night. If you wanted to see if there's a lot of changes maybe going on with your environment, maybe that's a better way. But no, it's a great point, Matt.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't run the snapshots on an hourly, but
Don't know.
they can be ran maybe more than once a day
If
potentially.
you're running a compare on a snapshot, totally fine because we already got that snapshot. So yeah.
Correct.
I think that's all I have, Matt.
All right, fantastic. I mean, this is definitely a fantastic option. Being able to, to one, like you made mention at the beginning, Dre, to be able to go ahead and run an as-built report, see what what the brass tacks is right now, as the call manager sits either right now or from earlier in the morning of all the all the registrations, even the partially registered ones as well. So if those need attention, but certainly that identification can be ascertained through the as-built, and there's definitely automation on that reporting, as Dre made mention, but the comparison is pretty powerful as well. Being able to kind of run those more frequently, if not if not more frequently than daily, but certainly can run that ad hoc. But certainly there is the automation there and the toggle to run only if changes are found, which again kind of serves as an alert. So fantastic options that we certainly have here from the change management module. All right. So at this moment, I'll leave the screen on Dre just for a second or two, but we're going to proceed into our Q&A portion of this webinar. So if there are any questions or concerns, please feel free to go ahead and just drop them into the chat and we'll address them right now. Jonathan does ask here, Dre, is PDF the only delivery option for the compare report?
Uh, I believe so. If you're just, it's actually a good question. I just ran this on real time in accident. So
I
yes, it looks like when you're just running it this way, it is. If you run
think the as builds have another option or
the
two, but I
as
think
built has a couple,
compares.
but
The
let me look at
compares, I think,
something.
are
Yeah,
hard
let me
coded to
look.
PDF only, I believe. But yeah,
I'm actually interested. Oh, you could just
yeah. So
yeah,
format
that's
format's hard
those
coded to PDF. Yeah,
yeah, so PDF there, but if we look at as built real
that should at least
quick.
that should offer PDF and at least CSV, if not hard
CSV,
PDF.
yeah. So
You
CSV
got
and
and you got
PDF on
reports.
your,
Yeah,
and I think because it's a larger list, because you're pulling, I think you can pull a little more there. But maybe not. That's just my thoughts. But yeah, if you're running like a cluster wide, on all your phones, and you have 10,000 phones, it's going to be pretty large and probably want to run in CSV anyway.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. I've unfortunately seen people throw that whole content list from the left to the right box before we kind of run that, and
Oh my.
that's a pretty beefy output.
Yeah, let's I would suggest not to do that.
I will agree.
You can, but I would select a couple if you're just wanting to see them.
Exactly. And in this as built section, certainly also if you run more than one content option, which is completely fine and warranted and allowed, but it will produce a zip as the output because there's definitely multiple report styles and reports that are in that zip that are going to be governed or going to be selected by your content option selections. All right. Just give you one more shout out. Are there any other questions or concerns about kind of verify and utilizing the change management for any of the phone registration stuff or any of the content therein or automation potential? Go ahead and just drop a question into the chat.
And while we're waiting, we'll just do want to iterate these snapshots on those first runs can take a little bit of time, especially including all that IP info. So just be patient when I would let it run and go away for a little bit.
Dre, go ahead and drill into the top one this morning's or the most recent one that you have, just so
Yeah,
that the for the benefit of the recording and the audience here.
yeah, absolutely. We can
So
take a
yeah,
look.
as Dre was making mention, I mean, there's a ton of configurable content that Verify captures in these snapshots when we run these on automation or even run them ad hoc. I mean, you can just simply see kind of this, the sample screen that Dre has here. I mean, these are a lot of components. He's got the drop-down navigation there, so you can certainly jump around to all these different configurables within Call Manager just to see maybe how the enterprise parameters were set at some point last week, or when maybe there was some cause for concern on what the values or the settings were on any configurables in Call Manager. But definitely, Verify does read all this out and pull it into a local file into Verify to be able to be read, and as well as you can drop these lists down into CSVs as well for further review as out of Verify if needed. But yeah, there's definitely
There's a lot.
quite a laundry list of content there. Yeah, for sure. Okay. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions trickling in, Dre. So I guess I'm going to grab the reins back from you.
All right.
Thanks everyone for thanks all for who attended today. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. I'm just going to pop in here. Let me just shoot this guy out right now. I'm of course there's a featured action I'm trying to deliver that's going share now. Okay, I just kicked out a registration for next week's webinar. As you can see on my screen here, next week on 11/20 we will be Brian and Jim will be performing a session on Cube iOS, identifying and analyzing call events for your data records there. So please feel free to go ahead and register for that and join us next week. Again, thank you all for your time today and have an enjoyable rest of your week. Thank you.